Deep dives and blue skies. Welcome back to Talking Blue with Nick, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talking Blue, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. I'll be your host, Nick, and today it's another exciting day. We are recapping the Dodgers-Giants series, which wrapped up last night, and we are talking about, of course, the big news. Shohei Ohtani will be pitching tonight against the Padres. A bit of a different recap slash preview. Not necessarily going to preview the Padres series. Dodgers just played the Padres last week, so I have a video that explains a lot of info on the Padres. A lot of the matchups are very similar. And then obviously we're going to recap the Giants, and then we'll go into the Shohei news. So we'll go through the Giants games somewhat quickly. I won't spend too much time on them, and then we'll talk about the Shohei stuff. So before we do all that, as always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Had a lot of shorts that have been dropping that have been doing well. Follow us on TikTok. We've been popping off on TikTok at Talking Blue Pod on all social media, Instagram Reels, like I said, X, and of course TikTok. Follow my personal X at Talking Blue Nick, as well as follow us on Reddit at competitive-week8715. Been talking to a lot of fans on Reddit. So without further ado, let's get into the three games. So the Dodgers win 2 out of 3 against the Giants. Like I said, we're going to go through each game pretty quickly. Before we do that, not really many injury updates, of course, other than the fact that Ohtani's going to pitch on Monday. There was interesting news about Roki Sasaki. Comments by Dave Roberts that it wasn't going well, but now they're back to saying his throwing program and his pain has been very good, and he's going to start a real throwing program and building back up soon. So that's really good. Snell and Glasnow, a lot of good updates, as well as Blake Trinan, who threw a bullpen session. He also threw to hitters. Emmett Sheehan is done pitching in the minor leagues. He will pitch in the big leagues this week. Don't know the exact game. I believe it will be Tuesday or Wednesday in this 4-game series. So Ohtani's going to pitch Monday. Yamamoto will pitch Thursday. Emmett Sheehan will pitch either Tuesday or Wednesday. So a lot of injury stuff going on. A lot of guys coming off the IL and stuff like that. So looks like the Dodgers are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel with all these injuries and a lot of guys kind of finally making their way back and stuff like that. So let's go into the games really quickly. Again, I'm not going to run through every inning and stuff like that, so because I want to get to the Shohei stuff. So game 1 was, of course, Friday the 13th, June 13th. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he pitched against Logan Webb. Dodgers lost this game 6-2. So this was the one game that the Dodgers lost. Logan Webb pitched 7 innings, only gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, 3 walks. He got the win, of course. Yamamoto did not pitch good. So it kind of continues Yamamoto's stretch of not so great start, then he'll bounce back, then a not so great start. So Yamamoto goes 4 2/3, 6 hits allowed, 5 earned runs, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs. So of course Yamamoto's numbers are still very great, but he was the story of the game. He kind of got screwed by some bad calls from the umpire. The umpire was really bad in this game. I'm not usually someone who complains about umpires and stuff like that. You guys have probably never heard me talk about the umpire because I don't really believe that an umpire is going to win or lose you the game. But the umpire was very up and down, and it actually seemed like because the umpire was really inconsistent, it actually seemed like the Dodgers were getting more of the bad calls. Obviously, both teams had bad calls, but a lot of the calls went towards the Giants and against the Dodgers. Like pitches that should have been called strikes were called balls against the Dodgers, and then when they were hitting pitches that were balls were called strikes. Anyways, Yamamoto did not have his best command. He's kind of becoming a pitcher who does allow some walks because he's in the 35th percentile in walk percentage now. And in 2024, he had a 6% walk rate. Right now, it's at 9.5. So I'm sure some of that has to do with Yamamoto's stuff has been better, and maybe sometimes pitchers sacrifice command and stuff like that for stuff. It's kind of funny because I still think of Yamamoto as a strike thrower and a guy who pounds the zone, but right now he's kind of living in that zone where he's going to allow some walks, but when his command is really bad and he starts to allow 3, 4, 5 walks, that's when it's going to be a bad outing. When he can kind of get underneath that, that's when he's going to be fine. So the 5 walks, Yamamoto threw 102 pitches, so he almost got through 5 innings, and that did help. But obviously, it was really the grand slam that he gave up in that 3rd inning to Casey Schmidt, 2-out grand slam. Like I said, if a couple of calls went his way, he probably ends up going 5 innings, giving up 2 or 3 runs. So it would have looked a lot better. So Yamamoto definitely has some stuff to figure out with the walks in his command. But at the end of the day, so far in 78 innings, he's got a 2.64 ERA. He's still got 90 strikeouts, so he's still punching out a lot of batters. He keeps the ball on the ground as good as anyone in baseball. Still been one of the best pitchers in the NL and in baseball. The Cy Young race and Cy Young is a little bit on hold for now. There are guys like Paul Skeens and Zach Wheeler who have a lot better numbers than him right now. But he's definitely going to be an all-star. He's still the Dodgers ace. I still think that if we're going into a postseason series, Yamamoto is my game 1 guy, and I believe in him. And so not really concerned about Yamamoto. He just kind of has to figure out his walks and stuff like that. Especially like early in the game, he kind of takes a little bit to get locked in, it seems like, especially in the 1st inning, which is common with a lot of pitchers. So Dodgers lose that game. Of course, Yamamoto didn't get any run support, which is kind of always the case with him. Dodgers only had 2 hits in this game, and they were both from Teoscar Hernandez. So this game sucked. I didn't like watching it. Yamamoto got rocked, had no command, and then Dodgers didn't hit. So it was really unfortunate because I was really excited to see the Giants coming off the Dodgers series win in San Diego. Giants were coming in hot. They were 1 game back of the Dodgers. 1 game back of the Dodgers. So it was a complete flop. Didn't live up to the hype, especially with Yamamoto and Webb going into it. But the Dodgers would prevail the series. So we'll go to game 2. This game was Clayton Kershaw taking on Landon Rupp, I think is how you say it. The Dodgers did win this game, so they win by a score of 11-5. Clayton Kershaw goes 7 innings, 3 hits allowed, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Michael Kopech also pitched an inning and looked really good in this game. Then, of course, Kike Hernandez came in. They tried to finish the game with Kike. They were winning 11-0. He ended up giving up 4 earned runs, and then Anthony Bonda finished it out. So Dodgers put up a lot of runs in this game. Shohei had 2 hits. They were both homers. Teoscar went deep as well. That's nice. I predicted him as one of my homer picks. Max Muncy also had 2 hits. Mookie had a hit. So Dodgers offense showed up in this game. They, of course, get 11 hits, 11 runs, 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So really the story of this game was Clayton Kershaw. Like I said, he went 7 innings. It's nice that Kershaw, like I said, going into the start on the preview series, I talked about how his previous start against the Cardinals was his best start so far. It would have been nice to see him continue to pitch well and get his numbers in a better spot. That's exactly what he did. So far on the year now, Kershaw's got an ERA of 3.25 in 27 innings. He has 20 strikeouts. He's got a 1.30 whip. So a lot of his expected numbers are still not great. Unfortunately, in this day and age when guys throw so hard and stuff like that, get a lot of strikeout numbers, when you're a guy who doesn't throw hard and you aren't getting a bunch of strikeouts, your expected numbers are not going to be very great. So that's why you should always take expected numbers with a grain of salt. I'm an analytics guy, so I do believe in expected numbers and stuff like that. But if a guy is pitching to a 3.25 ERA, you should believe in that. He has an ERA of 3.25, and so far his expected ERA is 3.55. So it's not like he has an expected ERA of in the 4 or 5s or something like that. He is pitching well, but the fastball velocity is down. He's not getting really many chase. Now the whiffs have gone up a little bit. and his command has obviously gotten a lot better. Right now, his walk numbers are still not great, but that's because early on when Kershaw returned, his numbers weren't great and his command wasn't great. He's gotten a lot better with that as of late. So can't say enough about Kershaw. He's 37 years old. I've kind of said this to you guys before that until Kershaw just gets old and doesn't pitch well, I'm kind of never gonna think he's gonna be bad. Now, right now, with all the Dodgers injuries and all the guys they have on the roster, I don't really want to see Kershaw pitching a postseason game. I think that if we get to that point and Kershaw's in the pitching a postseason game, something went wrong with the injuries, like someone didn't return or something. We're a long ways away from that. But at the end of the day, the Dodgers have so many injuries. They need starting pitching. They need guys to go deep in the game. They need better quality. And 37-year-old Kershaw gives that to you. You're going to take it. So all the credit in the world to Kershaw. You know, he didn't look great his first few starts, and you knew that he wasn't going to accept that. You knew that he wasn't just going to, Kershaw is not going to stick around just to be with the team, try to get another ring, or, just, hey, I've been here for so long, so they'll just deal with me pitching bad. Kershaw's not going to want to do that. If he's here, he's going to want to be pitching good, and he's going to want to feel like he deserves to be in the rotation. So it's really nice that he has ironed out some of his command issues and is pitching a lot better. Again, the expected numbers a lot of them aren't great, but when you're 37 years old, you only throw about 89 miles an hour, you're not getting a bunch of strikeouts, none of the expected numbers are great because expected numbers are all based on your velocity, a lot of the exit velocity numbers, your stuff, and stuff like that. Like I said, in terms of hard hit percentage, Kershaw is in the 3rd percentile, which is bad. But in terms of barrel percentage, he's in the 89th percentile. So again, I explained it before, that might be confusing. That is because Kershaw is not giving up home runs or hard hit balls in the air. So he's keeping the ball on the ground when it's hit hard. A hard hit ball is just a ball that's hit 95 or above. A barrel is technically a hard hit ball that is hit at a certain launch angle. So I know that can be confusing, but at the end of the day, Clayton Kershaw, 27 innings pitched, he's got a 3.25 ERA. So he once again just kind of proves that as long as he's healthy and out there, he's never really going to pitch bad regardless of what the stuff is showing. So Dodgers win Game 2. We'll go to Game 3. Dustin May, of course, was supposed to go up against the left-hander Harrison. It ends up being Sean Higel, I think is how you say it. I forget how you say his last name. Of course, before this game, crazy news. Rafael Devers gets traded from the Red Sox to the Giants. Obviously, he wasn't a part of this game because the trade literally happened like minutes before the game started, which is just wild. One of the better hitters in baseball gets traded from the Red Sox. That's a whole nother discussion. So a lot of the broadcast was talking about Rafael Devers and that trade throughout the whole game. Kyle Harrison does not make the start. So the Dodgers also won this game, and they win the series. They win this game by a score of 5-4. Dustin May goes 6 innings. Vesia, Yates, and Tanner Scott pitched and got the save in the 9th. Dustin May, pretty solid outing, goes 6 innings, does give up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. He kind of only had one bad inning where he gave up those 3 runs with 2 outs. I believe he gave up a couple 2-out hits, and then there was a big 2-out double from Jung-Hoo Lee. Giants took the lead, and then, of course, Andy Paez came up and hit that big home run. So Dustin May continues to take the ball every time and give you at least 5 innings. That's massive with where the injuries are. He's got an ERA now of 4.46. So again, Dustin May, at this point, probably not going to look for him to pitch in the postseason, stuff like that. But I still believe in him, and I think he can improve. I know I said that I was starting to lose faith in him, but he goes deep into games. He's still got a nasty slider. He still keeps the ball on the ground. He's super competitive. You still got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's never pitched this deep into a season, which is obviously crazy. But there's still stuff that I think he can and will figure out. And again, it's just valuable that he's taking the ball every day and at least giving you 5 innings. He's even gone 6 innings a lot of times like he does in this start. So that's massive. So the Dodgers take 2 out of 3 from the Giants. it's kind of funny. Like I said, I was really excited to see the series. Then game one was just a flop from the Dodgers' perspective, and then the next two games were really fun games, but not like a crazy series. But at the end of the day, Dodgers win the series. So they go 4-6 against the Giants and the Padres. All you can ask for against those two guys is a winning record, and you take the series. They did just that. They now go back to 2-game lead on the Giants for first place, 43-29. They now will take on the Padres for 4. So of course, late last night, the news drops. Shohei Ohtani is going to start the first game. So I'm going to talk about this, all of the Shohei information. So last night, because the Dodgers and Giants was a later game, I just figured I would make the preview or the recap series the next day on Monday, which is today as I'm recording. Then the Shohei news dropped, so now I'm going to include that. So the Shohei stuff has been super interesting. So, of course, we all knew Shohei was going to pitch this year. But other than that, we didn't really know when he was going to pitch and how the Dodgers would handle it. Early on in the year, because the Dodgers had signed a lot of guys and brought in a lot of guys and had this loaded rotation, the Dodgers were really sticking out their chest in terms of, we're going to slow play this. We don't know when Shohei's going to pitch. We had got to late April, I believe, and Shohei hadn't pitched on a mound that much, other than maybe throwing a few bullpens and stuff like that. Then, of course, the Dodgers have had a ton of injuries. Now, they haven't necessarily sped up his rehab because of that. The Dodgers aren't going to risk anything happening to Shohei because of the state of the rotation. But we saw about a month ago him get on the mound. Even the Yankee series, he threw on the mound as well. Last week against the Padres in San Diego, he threw on the mound there. So we've seen a lot of the videos of him pitching on a mound. Again, they've taken it very slow. He's gotten up to, I believe, about 40, 45 pitches. They do what's called an up-down, so they try to basically emulate everything of an exact start. It's not like Shohei is just going out there throwing a bullpen. They're trying to emulate him throwing to hitters. He gets 3 outs, then he goes and sits down in the dugout, waits however long, comes back out, throws again. And they're trying to emulate a real life game for Shohei, because obviously Shohei cannot go down to the minor leagues to rehab because he's the Dodgers' best hitter. He's their leadoff hitter. He's their DH. He can't go down to Oklahoma City or anything like that and pitch in rehab games. So it's a very unique situation, of course. So the reports as of late had been interesting. The Dodgers had always kind of said, we don't expect Shohei to pitch before the All-Star break. Basically, once we come out of the All-Star break is when you're probably going to see Shohei get ready to really pitch in a real game. Then, as of late, Dave Roberts had made some comments like, there's a small chance he pitches before the All-Star break, but it's still unlikely. And then, after the game last night, Dave Roberts was saying Shohei's getting antsy to pitch, and there was a chance he pitches in this series. Then, of course, the Dodgers X account tweets out that he's going to be the starter for this first game Monday night. So really interesting stuff. It really sounds like Shohei's driving the bus on this stuff, and it sounds like Shohei is probably saying to the coaching staff and the front office and stuff like that, like, hey, I'm ready to go. I want to get out there on the mound. So I wonder if the Dodgers were trying to tell him, hey, let's wait. Maybe let's try to get you on the mound come July, and Shohei was going back and forth. Maybe they've all along have just said, hey, Shohei, just tell us when you're ready, and when you feel you're physically ready, we'll let you go out there. So it's really interesting. It's really exciting. It was one of the bigger things to look forward this year is Shohei's debut. So he gets to do it at home, which is nice. It's actually against the Padres, which is cool. So I'm sure it's going to be sold out. It's going to be electric. Now, you should temper your expectations with how long he's going to go. Some people have kind of said it's going to be like an opener. He's probably only going to go 1 inning. I heard Dave Roberts say he could go 2. I would imagine he only goes 1. I think the only way he goes in, you see him pitch 2 innings or pitch into the second inning, is if he has like a super quick inning. If he throws like 11, 12 pitches, then maybe they'll throw him back out there. But I think that even if Shohei went back out there, I don't even think he would finish the second inning. Again, it would have to be like super quick innings and he only throws like 20 pitches to get through 2 innings. Even if he has a quick first inning and they throw him back out there, the second he has like a long at bat or something like that, or someone gets on base, whatever, they're going to have the next guy ready to go. So it'll probably be Shohei to pitch the first inning, and then Ben Kasparias will come out. Haven't talked about this a lot, but they actually have been building up Kasparias to become a starter. So I don't know how long Ben will actually be in the rotation, because now Shohei is joining the rotation. Emmett Sheehan is coming back. At some point, we're going to see Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow. So at some point, I would assume Ben Kasparias will go back to the bullpen. But that's really cool that Kasparias, who was a starter in the minor leagues and has kind of been back and forth as a long man, ever since he's become dominant, he's kind of become more of a traditional reliever. Still does go more than 1 inning and stuff like that, but that's really cool. He's going to get a chance to actually start and stuff like that, and he's been really dominant, so why not with all the injuries? Then at some point, we're going to see Emmett Sheehan, which is nice. So the rotation is going to be super interesting this week. It's going to be the biggest talking point. The first few games is going to be a big combination of Shohei, Kasparias, Sheehan, a bunch of other guys. So that's really fun. So what to expect from Shohei Ohtani? I tweeted out on my ex, Shohei Ohtani's second to last start in 2023. So, of course, the last time Shohei pitched, 2023, that was the last time he was a two-way player. He ended that season prematurely, had more elbow issues, which he's had earlier in his career, ended up getting surgery. I actually don't know if they ever officially ruled it as Tommy John or the other kind of appraisal, I think they call it, surgery, whatever they want to call it. Shohei was kind of super secretive about what the exact surgery was that he had, but he did have surgery on his elbow. In 2023, Shohei pitched in 132 innings. He had a 3.14 ERA, and he had 167 strikeouts. So that year, Shohei had a 31% whiff rate. 2022 was actually probably Shohei's best year on the mound. Shohei had a 2.33 ERA with a 33% whiff rate, and the walk rate was down to 6.7. So Shohei, people might forget, obviously because he hasn't pitched in a while, Shohei has been a dominant pitcher throughout his career. And it's really interesting, Shohei, people probably forget, when Shohei came over to America from Japan, he was always looked at as a pitcher first. Even I always remember thinking that. They used to always say if Shohei had to pick one or the other, there was no question he would be a better pitcher. He had elite stuff. I believe he's been up to like 102, 103 on the mound. When he first came over, his best pitch was a splitter. Since then, he's developed a really nasty sweeper that he throws a lot. So it's just so interesting that everyone remembers when Shohei came over in 2018 as the two-way player, how bad he was in the spring training. And everyone, there was the articles that he was like a high school hitter. He should be in Double-A. And then Shohei actually put up really good numbers offensively, but still, he was about a 125, 130 OPS plus, really good hitter, but he wasn't necessarily this MVP kind of hitter. Then in 2021 is when Shohei took his offense to another level, and ever since then he's been one of the better hitters in the game. And then when you tie that along with the injuries that he's had, people have kind of forgot how dominant he was on the mound. Like I said, 2021 he had a 3.18 ERA. 2022 he had a 2.33 ERA. 2022 he had a 2.33 ERA. I believe in 2022 he finished third in the Cy Young. So just imagine Shohei in 2021 wins the MVP. Then in 2022, he finishes third in Cy Young in the American League. Then in 2023, he wins the MVP again. So it's just everyone's going to fall in love again with Shohei Ohtani. I said that in one of my first podcasts. Everybody loved Shohei last year, going 50-50. It was an incredible offensive year. and it's just crazy to think that like now we're gonna see him pitch. Like just we know what Shohei, we know what Freddie and Mookie and a lot of the Dodgers' best hitters over the last few years have done, like Cody Bellinger in 2019. Just imagine if those guys got on the mound. Like it's just really crazy to think about. So super exciting. I talked about Shohei's second to last start in his last season that he pitched, 2023. The very last start that he pitched, which was in September, early September, I think it was against the Reds. He only went like an inning and a third because he obviously had the injury. His second to last start was against the Giants. It was in August. He went 6 innings, didn't allow an earned run. I think he had 5 strikeouts, 11 whiffs. The fastball was sitting around 95, topping at 98. So Shohei's velocity from that last time we saw him pitch, 2023, he averaged 96.8, so just under 97 miles an hour. His sweeper was actually his most often used pitch, which is pretty interesting. So he had a batting average against of 146 on his sweeper. His four-seam fastball had a batting average against of 163. The only bad pitch he kind of threw was his cutter. He had a cutter that he used a lot. It had a batting average of 314. But the splitter, like I said, early on in his career, that was his best pitch. The batting average against of 179 with a 40% whiff rate. That was in 2023. And like I said, over the last few years in Major League Baseball, the sweeper has become like one of the new sexy pitches. And he adopted that, and it became his most often used pitch. He threw a sweeper about 83, 84 miles an hour, throws it to both hitters. A lot of horizontal break, really nasty pitch. I wonder now with the last like year or two, the sweeper becoming the splitter becoming a big pitch. I wonder if we'll see him use that pitch more often. In one of his games that he threw on the mound this year, I believe it was in New York in the Mets Stadium. There was some videos of his splitter. He was calling it like a reverse sweeper. It had that much movement, which is really funny. So maybe he'll use the splitter a little bit more than he did the last few times we saw him pitch. So it's just so exciting. I can't wait to see him pitch later tonight. It's going to be so exciting. Hopefully we see a good amount of him. It would really suck if Shohei throws like 15 pitches and then we don't get to see him. So it's going to be interesting to see where is his velocity at, what pitches does he throw, how is his command going to look? You know, if he comes out and walks a few batters in the first inning, do the Dodgers just yank him really quickly? You know, how quickly do they go to Ben Casparius or whoever they feel like they need to go to? And then again, it's just like Shohei's going to start the game on the mound against the Padres, and then he's going to lead off the bottom of the first inning. So if Shohei goes deep in this game, it's just going to be crazy. Like, it's just there's so many narratives are going to come out of this now. Shohei already is probably going to win the NL MVP. Now that he's going to start pitching again, it's like lock it up again. He's going to have his 4th MVP, especially if he comes out and starts to look dominant. So I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how long he goes, and then after this, you know, how often does he pitch? I think the Dodgers, like I said, are going to take their time with Shohei. You know, they're going to build up Shohei to the perfect amount of pitches and innings, you know, as much as they feel is the right amount for the postseason. It's going to be really interesting to see, like, how many innings does he throw this year, how many pitches in each start. Does he ever even go deep into any games? You know, I'm sure later on in the year he will. You know, we're still in June, so, you know, a lot of people have said, like, 50 innings is kind of the number. You know, you have him going into the postseason with a lot, you know, as built up as possible, that he's ready to take down real innings in the postseason, but he's also extremely fresh. So it's going to be really just how do the Dodgers handle this? Does Shohei pitch like every 2 weeks or something like that? You know, if he pitches Monday and only goes 1 inning, you know, when's the next time does he pitch? You know, if he only throws like 24 pitches or something like that, can he pitch on the next Sunday, which is 6 days rest? You know, does he not pitch for another week? Does he not pitch for another week and a half? Like, how do they handle that? And like I said, it's all about getting him ready for the postseason. They want him built up and fresh, so when October comes around, he can make a start in each series and be ready to go 6 innings, basically, you know. So I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to break it down on the recap series. So that's going to wrap it up. You know, like I said, didn't talk about really the 4 games. Tonight it'll be Dylan Cease versus Ohtani. The Padres have Randy Vasquez for Tuesday. We talked about him last preview series against the Padres. Then it'll be Kolek for the Padres on Wednesday, and then Yamamoto for the Dodgers on Thursday. So, like I said, Emmett Sheehan's going to pitch one of those games, and then we'll see who the Dodgers also pitch. So, there's going to be a lot of moving parts, but I can't wait to break it all down. It's going to be 4-game series. It's going to be a lot of info, and obviously Shohei pitching is going to be the main talking point. So, Dodgers have a big series coming up, 4-game series. Like to see them at least split, but really win the series. Keep the good baseball they've been playing lately. Keep that going. Stay hot. Feed off the energy Monday night because the stadium's going to be rocking to see Shohei pitch. Feed off of that energy and take the series against the Padres. So, as always, you can get this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, at Talking Blue Pod. You can follow myself, at Talking Blue Nick, on X. Follow the Reddit at competitive-week8715. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you at the conclusion of this series, Dodgers-Padres.